Welcome to the Voice of the Apostles. This is your friend and brother, Justin Likuka. We apologize for being a little bit late today. We were supposed to be live by 18 hours, and I can see we are 12 minutes behind. Before we start, I will play a little bit of our jingle for jingle. Because today we are hosting Mr. Jingo Siatala. And excuse my looking down here. I'm just trying to look for that jingle so we can play it, and then we will be ready to start rolling with you. God bless you, and you're all welcome.
Welcome to Think, Pray, Vote with Reverend Dr. Justin Likuka.
Once again, a very welcome to you all. This is the Voice of the Apostles, presented by Gates of Glory Ministries and the Dream Center TV. My name is Justin Likuka, and I'm sitting with the host, Trish. You will be seeing her very shortly. Okay, we present to you Mr. Jingo Siatala, the independent candidate for Bwana Mkubwa Constituency. And I can see that he knows Bwana Mkubwa like no one's business. So we are going to have a ride today. We'll know more about Bwana Mkubwa Constituency, where it is, where it runs, where it ends, and all that kind of stuff. Mr. Siatala, welcome to the Voice of the Apostles.
Thank you very much, Doc. Thank you, Trish, for hosting me here in your studios.
You're welcome.
All right, Trish.
Yes.
Welcome, and thank you for running around and making sure you're here in time and on time.
Yeah, we needed to. I mean, this is a crucial time. 2 days remaining before the big day. We just had to put everything in place and make sure everything is running.
Mm-hmm.
We're wired for the evening.
Oh, yeah, sure.
All right, so it seems everybody is ready for the evening. I'm going to give Mr. Siatala 1 hour, 60 minutes of time that he can actually speak to the people of Bwana Mkubwa, so that at the end of the day, they will know who he is and what he stands for. Mr. Siatala, do you think the people of Bwana Mkubwa really need you?
The people of Bwana Mkubwa do need me.
Mhm.
Yeah, because first and foremost, I know the constituency very well. I've been brought up in that same constituency.
Yeah.
I know the challenges that the people face because I've faced the same challenges. In fact, from the time that I was younger, the problems that I went through, I still see people going through the same today. And so I decided that why not give it a try, having that understanding of the challenges that we have. So the people of Bwana Mkubwa,
excuse me,
basically,
you are giving it a try, or you are giving a shot at it? What are you doing?
I'm going for it.
Great.
Yes, I'm going for it because Bwana Mkubwa needs a man like me, one who knows the constituency and the challenges that the constituency does face.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell me about Bwana Mkubwa constituency. If you claim that you really know Bwana Mkubwa constituency, na kuli mwemewe na Bwana Mkubwa, ababantu when they come, bala tupepa yona likuishiba eko na afyalirwa and the like. But would you tell us what are the landmarks in Bwana Mkubwa? Where does your constituency stretch? Yapitamwi.
All right. So the first thing that people need to know, and you, my interviewers, basically may need to know, Bwana Mkubwa is one of the 4 constituencies that are in Ndola.
Yes.
And Bwana Mkubwa, if you're coming from Lusaka, the first, when you're just entering just after Kaflafuta Togete, as you come, you'll actually be entering Bwana Mkubwa constituency. So right from Kavu area there, Munkulungwe there, Tagaga and that side there, you are already into Bwana Mkubwa, and it stretches coming to Bitalula, Ndeke, Mushili. I mentioned Kavu already. We also have places they call Z World, not the Z World that we watch on TV, but it's a place, it's a new development.
The Z World from that is from Kavu, from Ibenga,
from Lupili, further down. If you are in Mushili, then you move up to Lupili, and then behind the hills, you'll be
that's
in
before the
Z
commando.
World. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So Bwana was quite a huge constituency, and in fact, it was also at one point earmarked for a delimitation because of its sheer size. So we also have areas like Mwange there, at the dam as well. Yeah, so it's quite massive.
So the Kafubu farming block, part of it is in Bwana Mkubwa.
Part of it is in Bwana Mkubwa.
And the other one goes to the Luansha side.
And the other one goes to Luansha side. Yes.
So meaning you have boundaries on this side, you boundaries with Kabushi, and the one on the other side, Luansha.
Yeah, in fact, if you are on Ndola Kitwe Road,
yes,
and just before you reach the toll gate, there's a gravel road that branches off from that road. When you are on that road, it goes to Kasongo. So right on that road, you have a demarcation between Bwana Mkubwa and also the constituency for Luansha.
Okay.
So and then you proceed, you go to the farms, go and lay that side, Hope area, all that is Bwana Mkubwa constituency.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell us about Bwana Mkubwa.
One good thing about Bwana Mkubwa is that Bwana Mkubwa is vast, and it's both peri-urban and urban. So we have also the industrial area. About 90%, in fact, of the industries that you find in Ndola, they are in the Bwana Mkubwa. And you also have the farming area, like the people that are in Nsunga Bukanda area there, in Mitalula area there, in Munkulungwe. They are mostly into farming. And beyond that, of course, you also have just the urban areas. Yeah, like Itawa itself, Ndeke, all those. So Bwana Mkubwa is basically both, if you like, rural and the urban. And so the challenges for these two areas are well known to me. And that is one reason I decided that I should take up this challenge and see how we can move on and be able to solve some of these challenges that the constituency is facing.
Deliberately, I didn't want to start by asking who you are. I wanted to know the constituency that you are vying leadership for. Now, already, Bwana Mkubwa is quite a confusing constituency, if you like. Fact being that you just said it's both peri-urban and urban, or rural and urban. And do you have a farm in Bwana Mkubwa?
I do not have a farm in Bwana Mkubwa, though I do intend to have a farm.
Okay.
In fact, just 3 weeks ago, we did visit the chief's retainers.
Yeah. And
we did discuss some of these things like having a farm and many other things that I will talk about at a later stage. But what I do have in Bwana Mkubwa is a property, landed property. I do have property in Ndeke, as well as in Itawa, as well as in Mushidi.
Which is all urban.
Which is, basically we can say urban, yes.
Okay, so how do you know the problems that a rural dweller like myself, actually, it's a pity that I'm interviewing you and I'm one of the people within your constituency. So I'm really going to hit you hard. How do you know the problems and the challenges that we go through if we farm? How do you know these problems? Have you been there? Do you sit with us? Do you ask us what challenges that we are facing?
In fact, among the many contestants for Bwana Mkubwa Constituency, I am one of those people that are standing that have visited Bwana Mkubwa Constituency in its entirety.
Okay.
I've been to Kasongo, the place that you just mentioned. I've been to a Hope area. I've been to Kavu. I've been to Munkulungwe. I've been to Tagagan and the rural area there in Sungabukanda and Mitalula. I've interacted with people. I haven't just been more like a passerby, no. But I've sat down with the community. I've spoken with the community. They have spoken with me. They have highlighted their own challenges and all those kind of things. So I'm very familiar. And in fact, most of the Bwana Mkubwa problems are kind of homogeneous in a way.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'll be passing you over to Our Lady, but before I do that, tell us who you are.
Wow. I'm a candidate. Like you already know. I'm standing in this same constituency.
Okay.
And then as a person, there's basically a political bio as well as maybe also a professional, but all wrapped up in one. So I'll just quickly highlight just a few things. I'm a candidate, like I've already said, and I'm a business person. And professionally, I'm an accountant, and I have a family that lives within this same constituency. And I'm a believer also, and not just
a believer in Hinduism or Judaism or Hare Krishna?
In Christ Jesus.
Okay.
Born again. Yes. So all that wrapped in one. So it just depends what question you ask, and I'll be able to unravel a bit more detail.
Okay.
Depending on what
so you said you are a family man.
Yes.
Your name, I hear the way you are mentioning Sungabukanda. I can hear that Bemba accent coming, but your name sells you off. It doesn't sound Bemba.
Well, I'm a Zambian.
You are a Zambian.
I'm a Zambian and I've been around. So,
and I know this is one question. This is like an elephant in the room. A lot of people actually avoid to ask this question to the candidate. What tribe are you?
I am Tonga.
Mutonga.
My mother is from Sinazongwe. My father from Choma. So I'm 100% Itonga. No. I was born here in Indola.
Okay.
And in Bwana Mkubwa Constituency.
Okay. So no mutoto waba mundola.
Mono muinefie.
You are only Tonga. You are only Tonga because your parents came from there, and you were born in the independent Zambia. So you are a Zambian.
I'm a Zambian, first and foremost.
Here is a right-on question. Have you found any difficulties being Tonga, Siatala, campaigning to be a member of parliament in a constituency that is not in your province?
I will tell you one thing. I haven't seen much of resistance or people not wanting me or my candidature because, rather based on a tribe.
Great.
Everywhere I go, just the person that I am, people, if you like, have basically fallen in love with me. But above that, it's the message that we are bringing to the people. They have fallen in love with it, so they are not looking at me as a Tonga person, the way we see other politicians trying to bring out this issue as if being a Tonga is kind of a curse. I haven't experienced that, and I thank the people of Bwana Mkubwa very much because they haven't looked at me through the lens of tribe.
Okay. Would you agree with me if I said this issue of tribal hate, tribalism and everything is not there out with the people? The Zambians don't even know tribe. We don't have that in our lenses, but it's something that is so pronounced amongst you, the politicians.
That's very true. That analysis is actually very correct. A lot of us, like in my family, I think I only know of my sister who's married to a Tonga person. The rest have married from other tribes. So it would actually be very difficult for a person like me to even try to segregate. because we have the Namwangas, we have the Bembas, we have people from the east, basically from all the regions you would want to think of in this country. So this problem of tribe, basically, it's being championed by people who don't have ideas. So the only thing that they see would prop them up is the tribal talk or sentiment, if you like. But I can assure you that every person that is talking about tribe will never have it easy in this country. Because first and foremost, we are all Zambians. And people of my age, man, shouldn't even talk about tribe. What are we going to do to our children? I have children that are, the mother is Bemba and I'm Tonga. So what are they going to do if we begin to promote tribalism in this country?
So your children are Betonga.
I'll tell you one thing. I asked my daughter. I was like, so do you feel more Bemba or you feel more Tonga? And she was like, you know what, Dad? I've actually never thought of a thing like that. I just love this whole thing of being both Bemba and being Tonga and both cultures. Because last year in June, for the very first time, I went with my kids to Southern Province. And they were happy to see the animals, the way people live and all that kind of thing. Yeah, so for them, this tribal thing basically doesn't even exist. So they even wonder, sometimes they would even ask me questions, but why do people talk about Tongas very much here and there, this and that? I'll be like, well, don't mind that. It's just the politicians. But the way you don't see it, like in the community where we are, it doesn't actually exist. It's only for politicians and only very few of them, actually.
Very few of them.
Yes.
Well, there you are, our viewers, ladies and gentlemen. I'm actually a hybrid myself. My father was Lozi. My mother is a combination of different tribes, but Tonga is more pronounced. I am married to Nsenga woman, so I don't know what my children are. Politicians who talk about tribe, we've heard it for ourselves. They lack ideas. I'll pass it on to Trish right now. Go ahead.
Awesome.
Bring
Thank
it
you
on.
very much. You are live on the Voice of the Apostles, and we are kicking it with Honorable Marvin Siatala. Okay, wherever you are, please make sure you share that link. Go to YouTube, Gets of Glory. Make sure you order Bwana Mkubwa. Tell your people that Honorable Marvin is live, so that you can get to fire him questions. The reason we have brought him here is that so that you have a conversation with him and get to know him more. So wherever you are, just make sure you go to YouTube, Gets of Glory, and we are having him conversate with us as he is standing for Bwana Mkubwa. I'm excited about this one. So, Honorable, you say you know Bwana Mkubwa well, and you feel you are the right person the people are looking for. Let's handle it this way. If you know Bwana Mkubwa well, what are some of the challenges that Bwana Mkubwa is having? What have you been able to identify to say Bwana Mkubwa is faced with this challenge, and how do you intend to solve those problems?
All right, that's a very good question, and thank you very much, Trish, for that question. In one of my talks or discussions with the people of Bwana Mkubwa, we sat down and tried to look at the problems that Bwana Mkubwa has. And one of the ladies in the audience raised up her hand, and my campaign manager picked on her, and then she stood up and said, Bwana Mkubwa has way too many problems.
Okay.
If we are to begin to write them down, it would take us basically the whole day from morning till sunset.
Okay.
And she wasn't far from the truth.
Okay.
The challenges of Bwana Mkubwa are way too many. But let me just highlight a few for the sake of the viewers, and for you, the people, to also understand that we know what we're talking about. We are not just wanting to take up political position, but it's because we know the challenges that are there. Number one, and I'm going to say this not necessarily in any order. I'm just going to pick out and then be able to say some of the things. Let's say, for example, here in Ndola, it's common knowledge that Ndola is, rather, let me put it this way, Bwana Mkubwa Constituency is the one that has 90% of Ndola's industry. Any industry you'd want to think of is basically in Bwana Mkubwa Constituency. Okay? But today, when you go about town, even just the industrial area, so what you do see is that most of these companies are now shells. They are not functioning. But there is a way that we can actually bring back life to Ndola, to Bwana Mkubwa Constituency, and to Ndola later on. So, because of the industries that are non-existent, as it were, we have high levels of unemployment in a constituency, which shouldn't be the case. If these industries could be opened, and they can be opened, we would see that the levels of unemployment would basically go down. So the number one challenge that Bwana Mkubwa constituency has is unemployment. Most of our youths, they have no jobs, but they do long to work. So someone has to stand up and be able to come up with a policy that should be able to work these our young people. Because it's not a good sight that you walk into a particular community, maybe by the market area, and all you see guys that are looking old because the only thing that they know is drinking beer from morning till sunset. So that is number one. We need to make sure that is also sorted. Number two, Bwana Mkubwa has lacked water. The issue of water is very critical in Bwana Mkubwa constituency. When I was growing up, and I always talk about this because it resonates with the community, we did have a problem of water. In the morning, parents would actually send you to go and fetch water at the industrial area, young as we were. Then you come back pushing drums or lifting buckets. To date, that problem is still existing. It is just as though over the period of 30 years, there's never been a leader that ever knew there was a problem of water in this constituency. So water is a big problem. And coupled with that, in those areas where there isn't even this water, so you find our water utility company would still go ahead and bill people huge bills of water for the water that isn't even there. Surprise. The other challenge that Bwana Mkubwa has, of course, Bwana Mkubwa, like I did indicate that it's both peri-urban and urban. So you'd find the problems of the urban area, the problems of the peri-urban could be a bit different. So in pointing them out right now, I'm just bringing out a few things, but I'll be able to specify what area needs what at some point should you ask. The roads. Just leaving my home here just nearby here in Itawa, and going to see my parents in Mushili. It was hell. Before they graded the road, which is just about a month ago, because that's what someone did. We know when it's election time, that's when people want to do something. But all along, just a month before, the road had gullies. To go to my parents, you needed to go roundabout. Where you were supposed to do just 100 meters, you had to go 2 kilometers to get to a point that is just about 100 meters. That shows you the level of breaking down of these roads. And just here in Ndeke, it's a pity. When you are coming from Minimat, just per Minimat, from Cabo Road going there, that road used to be okay. But today, when people are telling us that, in fact, Zambia has improved, that's when we see that serious dilapidation. Just try to drive over that road. Under normal circumstances, if we had a road over there, it would actually take you 2 minutes driving from Minimat, getting into Ndeke Market there. But now, right now, as I speak, you try to do that. It's going to take you not just about an hour, if you like, 30 minutes to an hour. That tells you the kind of roads that we have today. And that is not only common to that particular area. It's basically all the residential areas in the constituency. In Itawa there, it's a pity. The last time I had a meeting with the people that side, I was like, when we were growing up, when we were in school and growing up, we used to admire Itawa. We used to say, when I grow up and have a good job, I want to come and live in this community. But today, you wouldn't even wish to live in that place. Why? Look, the roads are not, they are broken down. when you talk about water, it's another problem. And coupled with bills for the water that you didn't even use. So the problems of Bwana Mkubwa are so massive. Let me talk about people in the rural settings. In Sungabukanda there. People would say, and we hear a lot of politicians saying things like, no, the feeder roads have been done and stuff like that. If just here in this constituency, if the roads were actually done, say from that Tagaga behind there and Sungabukanda area, you know, Bwana Mkubwa would have been one of those constituencies that would have been producing a lot of food crop for Ndola. But people won't even dare to think of growing a lot for commercial purposes. They kept to subsistence only because they know that if they went commercial, what road are they going to use to deliver those goods to the markets? Right. It's impossible. And beyond that, we also have a problem of healthcare. The facilities. Bwana Mkubwa is a huge constituency. Ndola, as it stands today, I was looking at some statistics. Yeah. Ndola has about 531,000 residents. That is huge. And there are basically only 2 hospitals. So I won't talk about the one for the children, the Arthur Davison. Let me just talk about the Ndola Teaching Hospital, which is there today. Are you telling me that hospital can attend to the 531,000 residents of Ndola? It's impossible. That is the reason the people of Bwana Mkubwa and Ndola at large are ever complaining that in these health institutions, medicines are not there. The medical staff care less. You know, you would wish they would attend to you, but they cannot. But sometimes you don't even understand what these people are actually going through. You can't have a situation where you have one nurse or one doctor attending to 1,000 patients. They are human, they also get tired. And this is what I'm thinking. And Bwana Mkubwa, with this population, the population of Bwana Mkubwa is basically almost even when you look at the numbers using the statistics of the voters. Like now we do have the numbers. The population is quite even. This is what I'm thinking as member of parliament, to relieve the pressure that Ndola Teaching Hospital has. Bwana Mkubwa constituency will need to have at least 2 level 1 hospitals. Okay. If we could have those 2 hospitals, it will save the purpose a great deal. One, Ndola Teaching Hospital will have less people going there, especially if they can. These 2 hospitals can cover for the people that are coming from Bwana Mkubwa constituency and the constituencies that are around, like Kabushi, for example. We could have one level 1 hospital in Ndeke, for example. Why do I pick Ndeke? The reason is very simple. It's almost in the middle for the region going this way to Tagagan, to Sungabukanda there, and to Munkulungwe. The people in these far areas can actually come to the hospital, the level 1 hospital in Ndeke. And then also, we can also have another one in Mushiri. Mushiri alone has a huge population. And then the surrounding areas also like Lupiri. I did talk about Z World, that side. Okay, and the surrounding areas can also have access. The people of Kantolomba would have actually access to the clinic that would actually be in Mushiri. So if this could be done, okay, then we'll see that healthcare will have improved in this constituency. We need a member of parliament basically who has all these ideas, can think, he has a vision. Yeah. And these things can be implemented. The reason we have seen these things not happening, it's because leaders that we have had before have only been concentrating on government, which government sometimes does not even give the CDF fund. But my interaction with some of these corporates that are in this Bwana Mkubwa and also friends and cooperating partners, They
Yeah.
say that for as long as there is someone to highlight these and indicate they're important to the communities, they are willing to come and help. So the donor community, the people that believe in philanthropy are ready to come and put up these institutions, these facilities, the hospitals. So what I'm saying is not just the hot air, but these are things that we have discussed. And the moment that I'm a member of parliament, I will go back and I will tell them these challenges, they need their help. And we will basically attend to that. So there are basically too many challenges. So for now, I'll end there. Otherwise, this whole time will be taken up me talking about the
It's
too many
supposed to be
challenges.
taken up you talking to the constituents. It's supposed to be taken up you talking to the electorates. You are actually the man of the show.
Oh,
We are
yes.
just here to facilitate, and that's the reason we'll keep quiet and maybe just interject when we need to ask. Like right now, here is my question. We are not looking for rhetoric. We are not looking for rhetoric. We are looking for real solutions and real issues, things that really happen, not just something that hypothetically somebody is thinking, no, maybe these are the problems of the people of Bwana Mkubwa. Maybe, I remember one time I worked for a certain NGO that I will not name for now, but then whilst we were working, we started thinking like, okay, what are the challenges of the youth? We sat in an office and planned for the youth and went and put some swings around there. Immediately after putting the swings, they were there for 3 days. After 3 days, we went there, all the swings were taken away. And I remember my projects manager, if he's watching right now, he knows I'm talking about that particular project. He was fuming and he was angry. And he said, Justin, look at your people. I looked right into his eyes and told him to say, sir, the problem is we gave the people what we thought was the solution. We did not consult them. Now, you're talking about these problems, having sat with the electorates and discussing with them, highlighting the problems. When you become member of parliament, in your own words, you are saying there's no problem. These are things that are going to be sorted out. What if you don't become the member of parliament? What would you do?
Wow, that's a good one. Firstly, I will be member of parliament because I've consulted with the people. I've shared my vision with the people, and they agreed with me.
Okay.
They're happy with my candidature. So that gives me the confidence I'm going to be a member of parliament. However, in an unlikely event that I don't become, that does not stop me from helping out.
Yeah.
Prior to my deciding to be a member of parliament,
Yes.
I already worked with communities. I'm a people person.
Okay.
A lot of people in my constituency, this Bwana Mkubwa, you will agree with me that I'm a people person. Even before I even thought of becoming, vying for this member of parliament, I worked with communities. I worked, for example, with youth doing the cleanups in the markets. I volunteered to put up toilets and working on some roads. Perhaps I'll share that later on, given the time. And I've also donated footballs to various communities in Mushili. People will agree, Mushili Bonano there, I've donated footballs. Hope area, I've donated footballs. In the rural areas, I've donated footballs. So if, like I said, in an unlikely event that I don't become, I will still be able to go ahead and still work with the people. So whichever way it happens, I'll work with the people. However, the reason I would want to be member of parliament, that will give me a lot more influence to be able to do a lot more than I'm already doing. I'll give 2 cases that had happened to me last year, I think about September, October. When you are in Indeke, for example, you know that in Indeke there is a market that was built by the local authority. And then the other side of Indeke is just these market stores and shops that were put up by people. Okay? But what you don't see on this other side of the market is that there is no public toilet. Okay? Last year, working with the market management, we went to them and said, we want to help the community here. We want to build a toilet. And I'll do it with my own resource. I'm not going to ask anybody to come and help. But should you want to be part and parcel of the project, you are welcome. So the market management actually wrote a letter on our behalf we endorsed. And we were told that the process is the market management will write a letter and we take it to the Ndola City Council, the town clerk will have to give a go-ahead and stuff like that. So the one thing that came out of, because we got the feedback anyway.
Yeah.
So what came out of the feedback was that because I was not a member of parliament, neither was I a council official, they could not let me build that toilet.
Come on.
The letter, we have it.
Are you for real?
I'm for real. We have the letter right now, and I know some of the people that are watching in the market there, you know what I'm talking about.
You're telling me that a citizen like me, okay, goes to the market and says, or to any public place and say, I see there's a challenge here which the local authority or central government hasn't worked on, and as a citizen I have the capacity to actually provide this particular service, and they say no?
They said no, and not just by word of mouth, in writing.
Wow.
Something that I can produce. In fact, had I gotten authority to make mention of some of the officials, I would have actually mentioned, but I haven't gotten that authority. And as if that was not enough, I did talk about the road earlier on. One of those bad roads is a road that goes to my parents, where my parents are, which was so bad, even my 4x4, Isuzu, okay, could not actually go over those gullies on that particular. In Bwana Mkubwa Constituency, I'm talking about Mushidi Kansengo there.
Mushidi Kansengo, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we went to the national service, right there at the industrial area.
Yeah.
To basically, we wanted to find out because I was thinking it should be easier if I go to national service. And it was basically for my interest, which interest would also would have benefited the community around.
Yeah.
Because that road wouldn't have been my road alone had I worked on it. Everybody else would have been using that road. They would have been happy. Their vehicles are not getting damaged using that particular road. The national service were okay. They told us, you don't actually need a lot of things. All we need, we'll just ask you to buy diesel for our equipment.
Yeah.
And then we'll give you. However, you still need authorization from the local authorities. We did the same thing again. I was told I was not a member of parliament, neither was I a council person. And therefore, I should leave that matter to the authorities and they'll be able to work on that because they already had a program. So it was, I felt bad. In fact, the people in my team, they know about what I'm talking about. So had I worked on that particular road as a citizen and as a resident in this constituency, it would have benefited a lot more people. So that gave me indication that to be able to have more influence and to do good to community, political power becomes important.
Well, to our viewers, there you got it. I'm surprised that we cannot work and bring development to our communities as long as we are not council officials or members of parliament. Now, these are some of the things that really break my heart personally as a citizen and as a resident, because it seems as long as you're not in politics, you're not occupying office, then you cannot participate to bring development into your community. And Honorable, would I be right if I asked this question now to say some of the reasons why there's no development in our areas is because of the people that are in office? Because if the people in office, really, if the member of parliament, for instance, was the one who went to the local authority and lobby, or maybe, I don't know whether that's the correct word, and tell them that there's a citizen who would like to do a road in our community, then they would have allowed for that to happen. So would you agree that sometimes you, the people that are in politics, are the causes for the lack of development in our communities?
In fact, that's very true. If politicians were more like, let me put it this way, ordinary citizens.
Yeah.
Okay. And when they identify a problem and there are members of the community that are willing to do service to that community for the benefit of everyone, politicians must be in the forefront to encourage those people. Then you would see that some of these problems that we experience, we will not wait for the government to come in to get them resolved or sorted out. Individuals within the communities would actually do that. In fact, I was going to also go further. There was a time when I talked about the youths that I work with. working in the market, just cleaning the market, you won't believe the phone calls that we received all the way from Lusaka. I just want to mention the names right now. And people were like, who are those we hear are actually doing ABCD in the market? Politicians already began to see that as a challenge to them. So it became an issue. The council police actually rushed into the market. This is a real incident that happened to want to stop us, but we did not. They went to the management of the market that side. And this is what this person said, because I know him, but I won't mention because I didn't ask him. He told the officials and the people that made those phone calls to him and to us. He said, you see, ababantu baleke ni babombe. Pandu filafine for mwafilo kuchita. Everybody tend to kuchita. Mwani ngiyo kula chite. Fikani mwani tungulushi. Ni mwe. So na tubaleka baleke ni babombe. That is a real instance that happened in the Ndeke market. So politicians simply ought to begin to work with the people, identify those that are willing to do community service for free. Because people want to use their own resources. So why should someone stand in the way and block them because they want to?
If you became the member of parliament, I'm sorry for cutting you short. If you became, or when you become the member of parliament, which one are you comfortable with? If or when, whichever. So,
because I'm very confident that I'm going through.
So when you become the member of parliament, and I should say this, at the time that we had the cholera outbreak, the time of cleaning the market in Ndeke, I remember we had to mobilize some resources and materials and they like to do the cleaning for the market. Now, let's imagine you are the member of parliament and you hear that Justin Likuka Sialwindi Matengu, all those names, he has actually brought in some lime and detergents and disinfectants and he's busy cleaning the market. Would you also start calling and saying, tell them to stop what they're doing?
In fact, what I intend to bring to Bwana Mkubwa Constituency is a different kind of leadership. I would actually encourage as many people as there can be who would be willing to do community service. I would actually mobilize and work with them. If they are even lacking in equipment, I would actually lobby that they get the equipment and give it over to them. Because people normally who feel threatened when they see someone doing some service in the community are those that are simply there in politics for their survival. And that is the reason, because they are in the majority. So we find those that are trying to do good in the community, they are being stopped because someone is already thinking that, oh, these, obviously, they're already on a political trajectory. And come election time, they'll be challenging me and people will have something to point at. It shouldn't be like that. When people are willing to do service. In fact, when I become member of parliament, the one thing that I will do is to mobilize as many people as possible. And those, even when I'm, say, in Lusaka, and someone else is doing some job, I will not stop them. I will actually encourage them. Because at the end of the day, what we want to see is an improved Bwana Mkubwa. Let's have an improved Bwana Mkubwa.
Let's have an improved Bwana Mkubwa. We've been running for 40 plus minutes, and I'm just going to give Honorable Siatala a little bit of a breather for a minute or so he can take a glass of water. And we are coming back to continue grilling and brewing you, because now we want you to really talk about what you will do, specifics, what you're going to do for Bwana Mkubwa constituency. This is the voice of the apostles. Okay. welcome back. This is the Voice of the Apostles on the Think, Pray, and Vote program. One of the things that we stress around here is that most of the times in Zambia, politicians play around the church. They play with our minds. They don't want us to think. They want to think on our behalf, but they'll ask us to pray for them, go and fast for 40 days and 40 nights so we can pray and the will of God must happen. Most of the times when they're asking for the will of God, they're not really asking for the will of God. They already have something in their minds. And this is the problem with you, the clergyman. Let me address you now. If you want to pray for the nation, you must take your partisan political lenses. You must love country first. The love of country first is going to help you pray for your nation. So we are here to think, to pray, and vote. We're remaining with just above 1 day before we begin casting those votes on the 12th of August in the year 2021. And we are here with one of the candidates, aspiring candidates in the Bwana Mkubwa Constituency of Ndola, which happens to be a constituency that houses most of the industries. Rope was in Bwana Mkubwa constituency. Rover was Yadini Rover here. Rover Zambia. Talk about Dunlop. Talk about whatever industry that you're going to talk about. It was or it is in Bwana Mkubwa constituency, and it's a pity that the constituency that has all these industries lives in abject poverty. Bwana Mkubwa constituency in Ndola stretches vast. It's got a vast area, probably one of the largest of the four. It has the peri-urban and the rural areas where there are farms. We could have commercial farmers around there, but we are not having these people doing it according to the candidate because there are no facilities. The services are not there. Right now, Honorable, let me get used to calling you Honorable.
Yeah,
except when I get into my office, you will never hear me call you Honorable because I'm also honorable of the honorables. Before I was... And it's a pity that most of the times as the clergy would want to come and kneel down to you. No, you're honorable, so you can throw a little bit of coins around. Because of that, you put us in your socks, you tell us what to do and the like. But listen to me, we will tell you what to do. And I believe this 30-year anniversary of Zambia being a Christian nation is bringing us to a different level where the church needs to take her place. Tell us in specifics. How are you going to resolve the problem of health care in Bwana Mkubwa? How? You've told us it is there, but how are you going to resolve it?
All right. Health care. We know this problem. It's a song that we're very familiar with. But today, what people basically want to see is that they have the facilities. In my earlier remarks, I did indicate that would need at least 2 level 1 hospitals. I know for majority of the people, perhaps in my constituency and maybe in Ndola, because these things are rare on the copper belt. We don't see them, so we may not even understand. But for some of you that may have gone to Lusaka, you've heard of Chilenge level 1, Matero level 1, and too many other Kamwala level 1. Such hospitals, fact that they are there in Lusaka means that someone thought of that, doing that in Lusaka. We can actually do the same here. So, and we are going to do it. This is how it will be done. First and foremost, yes, I do understand the government does have CDF and stuff like that, but that's a huge project, which CDF basically may not do. But the other thing that people don't think about is, for as long as there is a member of parliament that knows how to lobby and who to go to, these things could actually happen. I told you, I've already been in touch with a lot of other people. So we, other than the government, we have partners, some international NGOs that are willing to come and do works like this. So what they do need is a member of parliament with that political influence that will indicate the dire need in Bwana Mkubwa constituency and show just how the people are suffering and show them that they need these facilities. It will be done. People are there that want to help masses. We hear of philanthropists, those people that are just given their hearts to helping others. The reason we don't see them in our communities is because we haven't had MPs that have gone to them, highlight the plight of the people, and show them these areas. I am one MP that is going to do things differently. If the government won't attend to it, we will engage international friends and cooperating partners, and they will come in. That is how come we are going to have these facilities.
Okay, I'm just gonna come in there really quickly. I remember asking a similar question to one of the aspiring who also mentioned about the issue of lobbying and the issue of trying to find and seek help from outside. And the question is basically simple. That's what I'm really interested in. What guarantee do you have that this money will actually come in and you actually do that if you are depending on the monies from the outside and the people from the outside rather than the initiative from the inside? Is there really 100% guarantee that we want 2 hospitals, we're going to build, these people are going to give you the money? Is there a certainty to that?
All right, that's a very good question. Before, maybe I talk about the international partners or friends and international NGOs. Let's just zero in within the borders of Zambia.
Okay.
And let me highlight that in Ndeke, if you have been to Ndeke, there's a maternity wing that was built. All right.
Okay.
That was actually built by Indeni.
Okay.
The one thing that people forget is, other than just looking at the government alone, just within this country, we have companies that do believe in the corporate social responsibility.
Okay.
And that is how come that clinic was actually built.
Awesome.
So we thank even the immediate past member of parliament for having brought Indeni to do that job. We shall do the same. However, we shall not be limited to only companies to do that. The same way that we would actually lobby the corporates within our country is the same way that we engage with our international friends. Look, we have organizations that are represented in this country, like CARE itself that you talked about, and many other NGOs. These organizations that are here are not here because Zambia is a beautiful place to be in. These have a mandate. Once you understand what they are there for, all right, their agenda, you will find that specific problems are met by the agenda of these people. So once you engage with them, they will be way too happy to actually come and attend to the issues that are bugging you. And we shall do all that. Remember, the job of a member of parliament predominantly is to lobby. We simply have too many members of parliament who don't do these things, and therefore we feel these things are non-existent. But the moment you have a person like me as member of parliament, listen to this, Bwana Mkubwa, you are going to see a different Bwana Mkubwa. I have a vision. Most of you have bought into that vision. And we have said, once we are in 2026, and when we look back, we want to see that the challenges we are talking about today will not be there anymore. We will not talk about them again in 2026. So within the corporate social responsibility will work. Of course, the government will work, as well as the other international organizations that whose specific mandate is to look into specific problems. We will engage them and we will deal with all these things together. And then lastly, I do know a lot of businessmen. I do business myself, and we discuss the things. There are businessmen that would want to have their names urged onto certain projects. The one thing that has lacked is that there hasn't been anyone to mobilize them, bring them together so they can bring their resources together and then put up either a clinic or maybe a police post or whatever facility, because communities, like I've always said with the people, is the community will first tell you what it is that they want, all right? And then you see, once they tell you what they want, then you go to these specific institutions. They will be willing to attend. I'll give you an example before I close on this matter. I worked for Chilanga Cement, and my desk used to receive, or rather was the one that was receiving requests from members of parliament, the chiefs, requesting for help either for a clinic or to help whatever situation that they could be going through. In my time, there was perhaps only one member of parliament that I saw coming with a request, asking the company to help them with bags of cement so they can go and put up a clinic. And this person was actually coming from Chingola. I won't mention him like I did say, but at least I did see one person, and the company did provide that. If Chilanga has that, for example, but do we see Chilanga coming into our community to build, maybe let's just say a shelter at a bus stop, or even just a clinic, or to do as Indeni did? We don't see these things. Why? Because someone didn't go to them. But Chilanga Cement does have a corporate social responsibility in their budget. And so are the many companies that they have that are existing. Dangote, for example, they have Zambezi Portland. If you went to Mr. Matani and you put up a matter, I'm sure he would be too happy to put up a clinic that would read donated by Zambezi Portland. Chilanga Cement are already doing that in Osaka. Why wouldn't they do it here in Ndola? They would actually do it.
Donated by XYZ.
So
Donated
these things
by XYZ.
do happen in areas where they've had members of parliament lobbying for those communities.
Okay. Before Doc comes in, I think I'm getting intrigued. I think your strategy now becomes slightly different because you're not just cleaning on outside funding, but there are some other extraordinary initiatives where you bring in social responsibility, you bring in the initiative of the government, you bring in the initiative of businesses, and with that initiative put into place, it stands a higher chance to develop Bwana Mkubwa rather than just. And I asked this deliberately because the other person I asked cleaned so much on donations and lobbying from the outside, and I'm a great believer outside help is necessary, but it kind of gives us a lot of spoon feeding. So is there something we can work with inside of us, like with our own? And I think you have relatively answered that. Now, quickly before Doc comes in, let me ask you this. You have highly highlighted that you've had a lot of challenges to do your works out there because the stumbling block mostly has been that you don't have the position, or you don't have what it because you are not in a member of parliament or something like that. Now, I'm sure that there are also other works out there because people know who Honorable Mav is, that you have done that can put your CV and come highly recommended. So I'm going to ask this. What are some of the works that you have done in Bwana Mkubwa that people can use as a reference to say, this is a kind of leader that you want? Because I'm thinking that confidence you have, you're going through. Obviously, there's someone who's saying, yeah, he's going through because he's done this. We've seen. I want to believe that when we are choosing people, we are choosing them because we trust them enough that they can do this work. So I just want you to quickly highlight some of the works that you have done in Bwana Mkubwa that speaks for you as you pitch. I have done this, that kind of stuff. Then Doc will be able to begin.
Sure, that's a good one. I won't limit myself to Bwana Mkubwa.
Okay.
Let me go to Ndola, the Ndola Central. There is a school in what do they call that? Chipurukusu.
Chipurukusu, yes.
In Chipurukusu, Jesus.
Mapalo.
Jesus cares. I can't remember the name.
Yeah,
but you can. There is a man who's managing it. The head there, Mr. Chishimba, he will testify. When we went there, this is out of my heart because basically leadership is here. We went and found kids learning in an environment that wasn't really conducive. And we talked to one teacher that we found. I still have his number. And he told us a few things about the school. It's a community school. It's not a government school. I inquired whether government does support that particular school. Now, government does have a policy to support community schools, for example. But there's no help that has gone to that particular school. Okay? And I did ask how they get paid. He said, in fact, we just do voluntary work because there is no money. Thing is, the pupils that come here, the parents are supposed to be contributing 70 kwacha per term for each child. But that never happens. Okay. So I felt bad. Out of my pocket, I took out money to donate to the school, at least to pay the teachers, to just motivate them. That we did. And then prior to writing exams last year, they called me again. They said, we are short with money to pay for kids' exam fees. All right. I did that. I paid for a number of kids so that they can be able to write those exams. And beyond that, I did indicate in my earlier remarks that I've worked with communities and I've donated footballs. And beyond just that, the churches, okay, that have requested us, some of them didn't even request, as a matter of fact. Personally, I've donated bags of cement. Remember, a church also exists in a community. They are basically partners in development. Okay, there are pastors that, if they are watching right now, who agree. I won't mention their names, but in Mushili, I've donated cement. In Indeke, I've donated cement to churches to help. And in Mushili itself, in Kaloko, some schools haven't had roofing sheets. I've done those contributions and donations to those communities.
So basically, you've been on a journey of community work as somebody who is helping the community to come out of situations that they are in, which is very, very interesting. Now, in our dying minutes, I had given you 1 hour, and I'm trying to be a pastor here. I always don't want to be a pastor when I'm sitting on set. I want to be me. I should have cut this broadcast the moment we got to 60. I'll give you 10 extra minutes. So we'll run to 1 hour, 10 minutes. How about that?
That's
now,
good.
I would want you to use much of this time to talk to your different electorates. And like we said, they are different. There are others from the rural setting, others from the cities. I see we've been using English most of the time here. But there's a woman in Mwange. There's a woman in what did you mention that name?
Mitalula?
Was
in
it
the rural
Mitalula?
areas or
In the rural-
Sungabukanda?
Sungabukanda. I like that. I'm going to name one of Trish's daughters as Sungabukanda.
Sunga what?
I believe there's a youth there. There's an elderly woman. There's a brother. There's
Yeah.
somebody who is watching you
Yeah.
from there who may not understand the language that you are using. These 10 minutes, I'm going to give it to you speaking Lamba, in Ila, in Tonga, in the language that your electorates understand. Look into that camera and begin to talk to them, convince them why they should vote for you. You got less than 48 hours right now before the elections. And I want to say, utilize these 48 hours like they are the last that you have in your life. And to the rest, to Mandahill in that camera.
Sure. Thank you very much, Doc. Now, before I switch to Bemba, I need to explain something, especially something that is very important to Bwana Mkubwa Constituency. It basically caters for the youths mainly, and in Ndola in general. This is the vision that I have, and I want you to listen very attentively. Let's talk about what we already have. It's important, it's a biblical principle that our men of God, they teach us that it's always important to start with what you have. Bwana Mkubwa is an industrial area. 90% of the companies in Ndola are in Bwana Mkubwa. If we are going to get life, if we're going to give Ndola life and Bwana Mkubwa life, this is the proposition that I am making. It has worked in Lusaka, and I'll give you examples. It has also worked in Central Province, and it will work here in Ndola. Ndola has the infrastructure. The companies that were there, most of which are closed. And so the anchor companies that we have are very few. You can only think of Lafarge, Dangote, even if it straddles the Masaiti as well. but we know they use the facilities that are in Ndola, also Zambezi, Portland, and a few more. These are the anchor companies that we do have, and we thank God we have them. If Ndola is going to have life back to that industrial area, Ndola will need to be declared a multi-facility economic zone. We need that policy put in place. What will that policy do? What do economic zones do? I'll give you a few examples. Of course, I could go on to expand, but I just want to give a few examples so people, you can understand, especially the youths that have no jobs. What a multi-facility economic zone does is a government would deliberately indicate that this particular area requires investment. And therefore, to be able to attract that investment, it will need to say people within and outside the borders of Zambia who have money to invest can come to Ndola, to Bwana Mkubwa to be specific. Okay? The government will give incentives like tax breaks or tax holiday to the existing companies so that they can reinvest the savings into expanding their facilities so that there can be more productivity. To the new investors, they will be happy because they will know that if there is a tax break, then they know they have more money in their hands to be able to invest in the facilities. Two, the government can also say, ZESCO can give a lower tariff. And someone out there might be saying that, but that doesn't even seem possible. I will tell you here and now that ZESCO, or let me just say, in Zambia, we're already doing that. The mines pay a lower tariff of electricity than you, the residents, do. So in multi-facility economic zones, these things do happen, and many more other things. So once that has become a policy of the government, and we shall bring it to the table once you put us there, once Ndola has become a multi-facility economic zone, then we know investment will come. When you are going to Lusaka and you reach Chivombo area there, you have seen companies that are building that have gone in that particular area. In fact, there's even a huge writing that even reads economic development, something. There, people have been given incentives. So those that have money have gone there to invest in that particular area. In Lusaka, to the south of Lusaka, there is a Lusaka South Multi-Facility Economic Zone. Do we know why that was put in place? It was basically to allow people that have the money to go and put up industry in that particular area. I'll give you an example of Zambia breweries. Because of that policy of making the Lusaka South a economic facility zone, we see them go there to build a malting plant. And once there's a company that has been built, people will be employed. Ndola needs that. Once that has happened, I'll go one step further. And if it does happen in the life of my being member of parliament, this is what I intend to do. I will speak with the MPs for Ndola. Ndola needs to have MPs that will have a caucus. And they will speak with one voice. Because the problems of Ndola are not unique to one constituency. It cuts across the 4 constituencies. Our roads are bad. We don't have facilities in health and in many other areas. So what will that caucus do? Once we speak with that one voice to government that they declare this a multi-facility economic zone and the companies, they come in and things begin to happen. I talked about the issue of corporate social responsibility. So what can we do with the too many challenges that are there? We bring, since companies always have in their budgets a budget line for social responsibility, we can put all this together more and form a committee and identify critical areas that need solutions. Once we do that, we shall begin to see life getting back into Ndola. That is major, that is critical. The issue of agriculture. In fact, now I even subscribed, by the way, to, I want to become a livestock farmer. A friend of mine is now keeping or rearing pigs, piggery in pigs. 3 years ago, We only had 5 of them. Today, as we speak, it's plenty and is beginning to supply some of these big shops that we have in our country. So I'm interested in that as well. People of Munkulungwe there, Sunga Bukanda, and Mitalula, those rural areas, you know the problem that you have always had. You have always cried and said, how come kuna Bwana Mkubwa tatwa kwata ukwa kupokela fertilizer na limyeba okwebati tatwa kula kuma site mukula tunta fertilizer na ifwe tufire twakwatira depo era icho tebu afya ukuli ama farmers etwatira okwebati na fwe tukwate depo ubuteko bukatupela, because that's what the government is there for. If the government doesn't see that, me as a member of parliament will make the government see that and they will attend to that. You will not need to go far away to go and sell your maize. We, the people, coming together, and it can come in a cooperative form. Or we can even, if we can do a cooperative, we can encourage people that have the muscle. They put up a shelter where you can take your maize once you grow, even if you are a subsistent farmer. Mwalima na mkwata pa kutwala mataba ba sunga bwino abale ishitanga bakuzaire baisa bashafine ku Congo nganiba FRA baisa na bakwata apa kusendela ka satellite depot ifya musangoyo. We have thought through these things and to therefore kumonokwe bati imamo aba farmers balabale kula not ye 1 ye 2 mulive pamopene muli mafya mataba masakali 20 therefore mambo kuchirapo mambo kulalima kwali 100 going to thousands and stuff like that. Yoto atende ko kwata production ya musango nishina mwishono ko bati no bwafe bulwa ko bati turefiro kutwala abana besu kusukuru voilà wapantu nga bamilipira bamata mwashitisha nishimwaisha n'abana baya kusukuru. So icho chikankala sana na chanda kusunga bukanda nama areas yonse paramine koko chimbi byashirya misebo imisebo cyabafe mu government program na lipwishe ngami kuinga ubuteko bufire bwaseba abanje bere bati okwe bati actually ma gravel road ni every year ukuchita gravel musebo, it's not even a big deal nga chakwe bati kuli ukusebo musebo as long as MP wenu na bafi omuntu wa pambana chibe mbabasa mbirishe ko ba campaign manager nishi charaba ichakuchitika icho chine and we make sure because of tuberere ko kuma dando konsioko mwe kutika kumono ko bati namukwata umusebo no kumono ko bati yoko ofia kudye fo mwalima nafi kwatukwa kuya ku market bambi mulali ama market mu areas ya yenu. Those markets will make sure, for example kwati kuchichere kulya mwalenje bokwe bati tetwa kwata market but ifo ngono tulapanga amadozi nefya lekana chachine mulefa cafe center kabine lala ndipo tunga panga no kwe bati nomba pani market na bantu balepita mu musemo pala bengesa panchende imofye obala sange fibi na fyonse fye fa mupanga kuma ku mitishe cha mu forest mudia. So aba menshi kuitawa na kundeke mulandi okwe bati nati kwata problem ya bills bati chita bill pamensho tatubomfesh twalalisho ko bati ama prepaid batu bikira. That one is in the interest of the water company also. Bazesko bali sovo bwafe ba malai mulandi wa prepaid na bakafubu twalaba ta encourage na bakabika ama prepaid kundeke kulya na muitawa so that we are only build for the water that we have consumed. We don't want amenshale itikafe kwati kulako kumwange kulatwale ko twasangira amenshale and then people get billed. We don't want things like that. So that will ensure that is done. The issue of clinics, I already talked about it, will ensure this Bwana Mkubwa has at least 2 level 1 hospitals and we shall deliver because we know what to do. Amaskuzi tulelanda byashira twala ndapo na liena will ensure that na Bwana Mkubwa twakwata kufe nangu ni secondary kofe imo vya Bwana Mkubwa because ya shala ama secondary yonse ya wafe mu constituencies aya bambi no kuya mukule mbesha fya nomination fya twale yako twaile mukabushikos tuwezi pama sala secondary titu wakwata utatrifa fya combined schools. We just want a complete secondary school because then we know that the capacity to bring in as many kids yala vako nga twakwate yaife noti ama primary schools yonse twapanga ma combined schools na ma secondary schools. That is why education naena ireba compromise
akabushima pepo kapela
emkwae
pela yapo
twatotela
lelo ndefwaya elo shila mileka okweba timoleya. I'm looking at the map of your constituency right now, and I can see where there's Kasongo, down there, Kafu Block, where there's Kubanana, that area, Abantunga Balwala, Baya Kukomando. That's like 2 hours, 3 hours walking, Nishna Ulwala. You've talked about Nemisebo Shaona. In fact, from Kuyaku Banana Kwisa Komando Tapabo Musebo. Tapabo Bulalo. You cannot pass. Okay. The farm which used to be for Mr. Palmer, they had made a bridge there, which was a private property. Okay. You've talked about the level 1, whatever, level 2, level 10 hospitals. What is your plan for rural health centers? 1 minute.
Okay, so rural. Iringi mulayikushoka bati mukulanda ukwesu ma communities bonso muntu wale kumanya. Pali botuntu tunono kwati health post. Ka clinic aka nono fe. Aka kwa bati nanguna lile kuchilanga na tiro kwa bati prefer kufe 200 bags of cement. Nishina t-shirt ka clinic kala hapo.
Nangu fe washima pepo kuti bamipe.
Na washima pepo bene tibatu pe. In fact, ababe ne tulina wapa. Muti ask for CSU. Wale bamu. Because nae na macheches batungulula. Yaba mu community mumwesu. Amacheches in fact tatwachi mumula kono kulumbula. Na mwebene omo mulima programs ya. Abantu abalwala abantu benu na mwebene. So if it's a concern yama politics, if it's a concern na church, so bonse kuombera chapamo. So ama health post my areas umwingi. We just need tatukwete no bwafa katulole the government or tulole CDF. Awe ile fe corporate social responsibility ngatwali efe twalomba cement kwi bachilanga kwi badangote kuti twayikulira iskulu kitwayikulira ngani clinic health post twayikulira etwakubuteko nomba tupereni abafipatala ero chimbi kupula pofe pakupwisha obwafa bakwe bati ababantu balenuka bwangu ero twakula ka clinic pali atife twamona no kwe bati na clinical officer at least twamukulira ponenga nda para pene nisho obwafa obu wambo kusolve.
Thank you very much.
14 hours to aisara yo.
Thank you very much. I've got 3 questions that have been posted here, and we are not going to close the program without having to read these questions and giving you an opportunity to answer to the questions. I can see, is that your campaign manager sitting behind the scenes there? Yeah, in the camera.
It is.
All right, Mr. Manager, sir, my microphone is powerful enough to be able to pick you from where you are. Tell us what your name is, who you are, and why you are the manager for this aspiring candidate.
Thank you so much. I'm Kazezi Andrew. Why I've chosen to rally behind this candidate is because I share his vision. I've also lived in Bwana Mkubwa for a long time from 1982.
1982. And your name is Kazezi from Northwestern Province.
No. I'm from Lundazi.
From Lundazi. Maprikauli. So now from Lundazi and he's from Southern Province, then you come together.
A beautiful combination indeed it is.
Why is it beautiful?
It is because it's one Zambia, one nation.
One Zambia, one nation.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are my brother-in-law because I married a Nsenga woman.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Okay, so this vision that you have and you being the manager for this handsome dude.
Yeah.
Are you looking for a job? Are you looking for contracts when he becomes member of parliament? Why are you manager?
I'm not looking for a job. I'm looking for a better community that all of us can benefit together. It's beyond personal gain, but it's for a community as it were. And so I'm looking for a community that finally everyone else is going to say, well, this is our community and we should all benefit together. And moving forward, we should see Bwana Mkubwa become a constituency that is endowed with a lot of these companies and resources. Like, for example, I'll tell you, Bwana Mkubwa, the full water comes from Bwana Mkubwa at the southern end of Bwana Mkubwa. But what is it that we can get? There's no water in Bwana Mkubwa. So that's $1 million question. one would ask.
So you have the water, it comes from your constituency, and then you have the local.
It is within our constituency. That's where water is pumped from. And then it goes to Kawishi, for example, constituency. Other people are drinking, and we're given bills.
Like what happened with the power, the Zesco power is generated in this village. Yes. You displace the people.
Exactly. So, right. So those are some of the reasons.
I understand you speak many languages.
Yes, I do. Fine. Ande,
all right, question number 1 is coming from Yoweli Mwanzalikuka. And here is the question, Honorable. Let me just see if I can make this bigger so my eyes will be able to read properly. I love it when people send questions. And I'm surprised there are only 3 questions for you. What happened? I'm very impressed with the way you brought out issues here. Kudos, Mr. Jingo. When you become MP for Bwana Mkubwa, will you continue helping the needy? I think that's question number 1. Number 2, secondly, you said you are a Christian. Do you have a church you belong to? Or are you a member of parliament without a church? And if so, what is that church? Number 3, will you continue being accountable to the church when you become member of parliament? Nanguninshi mwasamwa. Okay. Question number 2. In that order, question number 2 from his man J. You seem to be honest and open-minded. If I were you, I would smile to that. All right. I can now say you have my vote and we will campaign for you to my family between now and Thursday. Please do not disappoint us. You got a campaign manager right there. Right. Somebody who is going to campaign for you. Okay. And then he says, what are you going to do for the youths in your constituency? So you can quickly attend to those questions and sentiments so that we can quickly close the broadcast.
All right.
All yours.
Of course, there was an issue of having to do with the help to the needy. Like I did indicate, I did say that helping out the needy hasn't started now that I'm vying for political office. That's something that I started way back, and I'll continue doing that because first and foremost, I'm a Christian, and that's why I do that. My Bible tells me that any good Christian must do things like that to help the needy. Am I, do I go to church? Of course I do go to church. I'm a Christian. And Miracle Life in Ndeke with Bishop Kapaso, you will find me there. And thanks, is that his man?
Yes.
His man, yes, I will not disappoint you, his man. In fact that you've also bought into our vision or agenda, we need to work with people like yourselves. I do not want to be a closed up kind of member of parliament. My doors will ever be open, and I've given myself to work with the community. Every time that parliament is in recess, I'll be back and make sure that we attend to the various challenges that the community has. What was the other issue? I think I'm done.
When you become member of parliament, are you going to continue being accountable to the church?
For me, I'm trying to find the best way to answer that question. Am I going to continue to be accountable to the church? Let me put it this way. First and foremost, I will be accountable to God. Second, to man. Now, man, that's how now we end up having these organized groupings. Now, the church, of course, my church, I would definitely be accountable because already where I am, these studios, basically, they are church studios. And what I'm saying is also being recorded. So it can be used at a later stage as, if you like, that evidence for what I've actually promised today. So I will continue to listen to my pastors and men of God. And in my appeal also to the churches, and I'm sure maybe some of them could be watching, is that, like I did say in the presentations, I did say that the churches also ought to build capacities to be able to run things like community schools or church schools, if you like, even the health posts, because we know there are already too many examples of churches that are already doing that. But I want to appeal to our churches, especially in the Pentecostal
Seconds.
So that would it be like these others and build capacity and be able to do. As a member of parliament, once you have an initiative, let's say even of a community school, where the government can do that and they put up an initiative, why wouldn't I support that? And that will be number one to lobby to ensure you have basically the best facilities, so that our people won't even feel it's a community school. They will just feel this is just about the best school. Like I've seen one in what do they call it? As you go from Luvuto there, as you cross into Kantolomba, Lighthouse School, something like that. It's a beautiful school sponsored by the Australians. So if churches can have initiatives like that, I'm willing to be that MP that will ensure they are supported, and I will lobby on their behalf. And that goes basically across all churches. I'm not talking about denomination here, just the body of Christ. You have an initiative, engage me as your member of parliament, and I'll make sure that I'm there. I attend to those issues. I lobby on your behalf as well. Thank you very much.
I want to take it. You have had the chance to speak to the electorates, and we have gone extra beyond the time. And so I'm going to be ending this broadcast like now. And I wish we had more days to actually bring you back so you could continue talking and engaging with the electorates. But what I can promise you, though, is that at the end of this election, whether you go through or you don't, we'll bring you back. We'll still want you to continue engaging with the people, with the community. All right. Because we believe that somebody out there would love to hear from you. And so this was your man, aspiring member of parliament for Bwana Mkubwa Constituency. We did not just bring him alone because we do not want to be accused of biasness. So we've had all those who were available. One problem is that some of these people, when you call them for a program like this, they want to look at you and think, well, if it was that and that and that. So those who were available, they've been here. We had 4 different members, aspiring members of parliament coming here to speak their heart and pouring their heart into you, sharing their vision for Bwana Mkubwa Constituency. You know what to do when you go there between today and Thursday. Think, pray, and vote. You know who to vote for. This is not a program to tell you who to vote for, but it's a program that is going to open your mind to see what kind of a candidate do we need? What kind of a person do we need to represent us? Is this person representing our desires? Is this person going to speak to policy and help our community develop? This has been the Voice of the Apostles. Think, pray, and vote. I'm out of here, but we're going to be having another program in about 30 minutes where we bring all the mayoral candidates for Ndola, and we will be having another exciting moment, having a debate with them. You are free to say, I don't like goodbyes. I think I like see you later. You are free to say 1 word, 2 words to the people before I finally close this broadcast.
All right. Thank you very much for the last 1 minute. Let me just say this. So just after tomorrow, we'll be voting. I want to encourage you to vote for this candidate. You've heard my agenda. And if we are going to realize the things that I talked about, it means that you must give me that vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you. This has been the